Here is your Monday boost. So I know sometimes you just feel like, is this really for me? Am I ever going to get to this place? Are you looking around at everybody else's? The doors are opening for them, but the door hasn't opened for you yet. So you're wondering. You hear God on one shoulder saying, "It's yours, my child. Speak life." And then this other voice over here you're hearing, which is the devil, is telling you, you ain't never going to get that. You're not ever going to obtain that. You're not worthy of that. You did this or you did that. That's why you haven't gotten it. But I want you to know, listen to the voice of God. Listen to that positive voice, that good voice that's telling you to speak life and telling you, I can speak life into every avenue. I can speak life into every thing. I believe that God is everything, and I know that I can have it. Also, you got to understand, you got to know those moments when you feel like you're in a pause and you're in a standstill, whether it's with a job or whatever it is. Believe that you're coming out of that. Just a quick share. Story time. I was at a job and I just felt stagnated. I felt like I wasn't moving. I felt like everything wasn't working. It was an attack after another attack. And until I just decided one day that I was going to give it up, I walked out on faith. And let me tell you how God is. When you walk out on faith, that is when the door really unlocks and changes really open up for you, when you walk out on faith. But if you would have allowed Satan to sit there and torment you in that place and keep tormenting you in that place and keep wearing you out, he would have wore you out. That was that devil on that other shoulder. But then when you had God in your ear telling me, you're worthy of that. Do you know your value? Do you know your worth? And so when you step out on faith and you believe what he's saying, okay, then there may be another problem that creep up that may tell you, well, maybe you shouldn't have left because you done ran into this issue right here. But God is like, nah, keep going. But then the devil like, nah, you just ran into this problem here. That ain't working. You should have just stayed where you was at. See, that's Satan telling you once again in your mind, things ain't gonna get better for you. But then God steps in again. He gives you another breakthrough and another blessing. And you like, I ain't even imagine this. I didn't even know it was gonna get this good. But what I'm telling you is, when you keep your hand in God's hand, when you keep your thoughts with good thoughts, godly thoughts, that voice over here, sometimes you just hear those positive things. You just hear, you know what, I got this. I got this. I'm pushing forward. I don't care how hard it get. I got this. But then when you hear that old whining voice over here, all they want to do is whine. All they want to do is think about the negative things. You need to turn that voice off. That is not God's voice. That's Satan's voice. And we're in a season where we have to really distinguish between the voices. What's God's voice and what's Satan's voice. And you got to understand, just because someone else has received a blessing or a house or whatever, don't start listening to that negative voice over there. Oh, you ain't gonna never get no house. Or you ain't gonna never get no marriage. Or you ain't gonna never get no nice car. Or you ain't gonna never get this and that. Listen, everybody has a different timeline. Stop watching everyone else's timeline. Because the thing is, sometimes God doesn't release something to you at a certain time, because if he releases it at that particular time, you may mishandle it. He may know that financially you're not ready for that, and he doesn't want you to fumble it. But now, if God wants you to have something, God's will is going to prevail, and he's going to make provision, and he's going to make the financial things work for you. Understand that. But sometimes when things don't work, or it just seems like it's not lining up the way that you want, it's because that's not God's will for you. So continue to keep praying. Continue to be grateful for what you currently have. And when God decides, I'll open up this next door, he will open it up for you. But until you get to that place, clap and shout in the closet for somebody else. Keep praying, stay on the path, and know that God is going to work for you. Don't get distracted with nobody else's story. Don't get distracted with nobody else's blessing. Just be happy for him. Just thank God and keep praising him. But your timeline is your timeline. And make sure that you're listening to the correct voice. Anything that's whining or making you find something negative or making you find the bad in everything, that's not God's voice. That's the devil's voice. Make sure that you say, you know what, I cast that negative thought out my mind today. I cast that out. I cast that out and I rebuke that, because I'm going to have a good day today. I'm going to have good thoughts, because God has given us clear instructions. He wants us to meditate on his word day in and day out. And he also tells us to think on those good things. Think on heavenly things. And anything that weighs us down, he tells us also to put those heavyweights aside. When I say put those heavyweights aside, put that negative thinking out. That negative thinking that putting you in a bad mood. That negative thinking that everything ain't gonna work for you. Nothing is working for me. Just because of that, just because it might not be the doors that you desire might not be open at this moment, doesn't mean that those doors aren't gonna open. They will open, but just at the right time. Keep trusting God's plan. Keep trusting His will, and know that He's on your side. And I just want to share that for someone else. Know that the blessings are coming for you. It just might not be your time. But guess what? When He gets ready, the doors are going to open. And I just wanted to share that with you. Keep believing and make sure you are listening to the right voice.